What is it that's holding you back, keeping you from becoming everything that God has created you to be, living your purpose and reaching your destiny? Is it self doubt, feeling that you don't measure up to others? Perhaps it's fear or lack of resources, offenses and challenges, maybe even past or current circumstances. Well, I want you to know that these are pathologies, diseases of the mind that negatively impact how you think and perceive things that invade your everyday life. You can overcome these peculiarities and become conquerors, living in the purpose that God has for your life. The Bible in Philippians 4:13 teaches us, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Hello, I'm your coach Dee Johnson, and I'm going to share with you on how you can overcome these pathologies and be all that God created you to be on today's Watering the Seed. Hey fam, welcome back to Watering the Seed, where we don't just talk about healing, we live it, breathe it, and grow through it. I'm your host, Coach D, and today we're talking about something that hits a little too close for some of us. It's called trading treasure for tricks. And I want you to let that simmer for pour pure gold into someone who came with sleight of hand. You know what I'm talking about? Whether it's a love relationship, family, friendships, work connections, in some cases, even mentorships. This is for the soul ties that didn't tie tight, but instead they tore, ripping the very fabric of your being broken, stressed, depressed for some of us, bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray. You've heard the story. For my millennials and Gen Zs out there, this simply means you've been played. So, to sum it all up, that tie or hole they had on you pushed you way out of alignment before you even realized what was happening. But hey, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. It's happened to many of us, and it's not your fault because you didn't know. But today, we're going to rip the lid off this trunk, dig through it, reclaim it. And once we reclaim it, we won't hide it, but we'll guard it and distribute it more wisely. Because you know that these are our God given gifts. And we don't hide divine gifts, we share them. But this time, before we share our gifts, we will become good stewards over them, watering the seed. Now, first, let's unwrap what's meant by our God-given gifts. It's important to know and remember that natural talents and spiritual gifts this is a broad category, and people see things differently. They based on their own beliefs and individual perspectives. We're born with certain natural talents and aptitudes which can be considered gifts. These include physical abilities, personality traits, and innate skills that come naturally to us. That certain spiritual gifts are also present from birth and more often than not associated with faith and spiritual development and accepting a particular belief system. So, to break it down, physical abilities include physical strength, coordination, flexibility, and handiness. Now, persons being naturally outgoing, introverted, or empathetic, and these can also be present from birth. Innate skills, again, may also be present from birth, but such as being naturally gifted in areas like music, math, or art. And I know you know some people out there who are naturally gifted in music, math, or art, or some other naturally present areas in their life. Personally, I myself possess an innate gift of drawing and creative. I talk about one of my innate gifts, of which is the gift of knowing how to draw, in a previous podcast titled Overcoming Self Doubt and Comparison, where I talk about my gift of creativity and more specifically drawing. I'll leave a link in the comments section for you to. I was born with these gifts. Nobody taught me how, it just came naturally, which brings me to spiritual gifts, which are abilities or talents given by God or a higher power, often associated with spiritual growth and service. Some examples include wisdom, knowledge. Some examples include wisdom, knowledge, healing, prophecy, and discernment. With wisdom, this is the ability to discern and apply knowledge. Knowledge is the ability to understand and interpret information. Healing is the ability to heal or help others with physical or emotional ailments. Like life coaching, this is something that we use to help people emotionally heal. And then you have prophecy, the ability to speak God's message or foretell future events. I had one where this lady, I was attending a family member's church, and this lady was from out of town, and she was supposed to be a prophet. And I was quite skeptical. To be transparent with you, I was quite skeptical. But after the service ended, I was sitting there waiting for my family member. But after the service ended, I was sitting there waiting for my family member to complete their task because they were an officer of the church. And this lady walked over to me while I was minding my business, and she spoke to me about a situation that I was currently going through great concern about. And she spoke about that situation, and then she told me that everything was going to be fine, and it did work out all okay. It did pan out. But to my shock, because I was so skeptical, you can imagine that this took me way out of in the belief system that I was currently in at that time. So now my belief system has broadened. But anyway, so getting back to this, discernment is another one. And discernment is the ability to distinguish between good and evil. And I know many of you out there probably believe evil. And I know many of you out there probably believe that this is a given. Everybody should know the difference between good and evil. But people, I'm here to tell you that that's just not true. Okay? So keep in mind that the natural talents and spiritual gifts, again, are abroad, them differently based on their own beliefs. So let's respect each other's beliefs, okay? So now, these gifts that we possess are our treasures, and we have a chest filled with them. But I only want to address a few of those that tend to attract the tricksters who use them against us to take us out, to attract the tricksters who use them against us to take us out of alignment, like the ability to trust easily, the ability to balance our energy, the gift of meekness. Some have that. The ability to give selfless love, not selfish love, but selfless love. Give selfless love, not selfish love, but selfless love. That agape love, yeah, that. And then there's compassion, the ability to have empathy towards others. And again, these are just a few. There are many, and they play on them and take advantage of those who possess them. They take the kindness for weakness. They take the ability to trust and turn it into suspicion. They rob us of valuable energy. I call them energy thieves. They take the selfless love and use it against you to manipulate you. Then they try to convince you that it's your fault for being too much. You know that you're too much. You've heard it before. Or soft. You're too compassionate. You need to stop trying to outdo everybody. That one sounds familiar, right? You need to stop trying to outdo everybody. Yeah. That's code for you need to dummy yourself down. So that's code for you need to dummy yourself down. So that they'll feel more comfortable in your presence. So when you hear that that's old familiar song, you need to stop trying to outdo people. If you are being authentically who you are, then you're not trying to who you are and who God created you to be. So, and there's the rub. Those of us who have an abundance of these gifts or characteristics know that they're really our strengths. We've just stewarded them wrong. And again, not your fault. You didn't know. You are very much aware of your gifts and willingly target you with manipulation, ghost promises, false vulnerability, gaslighting with a smile, of course, love bombing with intimacy and even material things or gifts. The more valuable your things or gifts, the more valuable your gift, the higher material gift they give you. But don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. The material gifts they bring have strings attached. So be really careful accepting the trickster's gifts, because your gifts in time are way more valuable than a few coins, a piece of jewelry, intimacy, false promises, or those puppy eyes and fake smiles. You know? And those three little words, how about those three little words that pack the most power? I love you. That's the words that pack the most power. I love you. That's the power of the tongue. And it has literally destroyed many people's lives. Not saying that I love you is a bad thing, because it's not. When it's genuine, which is given freely and unconditionally without any expectation. This is demonstrated through respect, acceptance, and allowing one to be authentically who they are, and not controlling someone with manipulative behavior. And I'll give you this because I love you. That's one of the. I'll give you this because I love you. Or you have to be this without question. Even if what they want you to do takes you out of character and doesn't align with your own goals or purpose, this renders you unaligned when you do this. And if you deviate, don't do that. Don't do that. There will be serious consequences. You then become the perpetrator, the rival, and their enemy. So now, what does it mean to be unaligned in any relationship? It means to be disconnected from your true purpose. Chasing approval don't reflect who you really are. You find yourself being busy, but not becoming, okay? You're busy, but you're not becoming. In other words, you're spinning your wheels. You're just moving in one place, but you're putting your foot on the gas and going nowhere fast, okay? Not serving nowhere fast, okay? Not serving the purpose you were meant for. So, metaphorically, because I do have a metaphorical or a symbolic example of what I mean. So for you Gen Zs out there and millennials, let's give in a thirsty and longing for a glass of ice cold water to quench that thirst. You find that glass, but it has a crack or a hole in the bottom. If you're pouring that good ice cold water into that cracked glass and it leaks, that water isn't returning to you. That water isn't returning to you. You can't drink it because it leaked on the floor. That glass can't return that water back to you to quench your thirst. So you walk away still thirsting. And as long as you're busy trying to pour into that glass, the longer you'll thirst, because that water is leaking to that ice cold glass of water you're trying to create. And your thirst will never be quenched. Okay? But if the glass is a crisp, clear glass, nice and sturdy with no leaks, when you pour the ice cold quenching water into that clean, crisp glass, it will hold the water so that you're able to drink from it and your thirst is quenched. And in real life, the clean, clear glass aligns with its purpose, and that is to hold the water. This is what we want in our relationships. Alignment with there is alignment, there is equal yoke. Alignment in a relationship is allowing each other to be authentically themselves without judgment or trying to change them. Okay? So another example of being unaligned in the workplace, because, I like to aspect of our lives, if I can, every area, touch a little bit on every area. So being unaligned in the workplace. So when your skills and competencies your mission and vision don't match that of the company, it doesn't meet the company's needs, or it doesn't match their competencies, your mission and vision don't match that of the company, it doesn't meet the company's needs, or it doesn't match their mission and vision, this is considered to be misaligned with the company's purpose. And I'll give you an example. In my real life profession as an HR professional, I look for the person who possesses the skills and competencies needed to help the company fulfill its purpose. And in return, the company agrees to specific things like pay rate, fair pay rate, and benefit packages. But there are other things that as an employer, I'd include in that offer that many people don't even consider. Things like a safe, healthy work environment, continuous training, bonuses, um, maybe a gas card or a laptop computer, whatever is needed to are provided for. Okay. In some cases, we even gave them uniforms to help preserve their personal wardrobe. But these additional perks, there is an expectation. And that is that they or the employee that we hired them. And if they meet the expectation, then they are aligned with the company's purpose, or more commonly referred to as the company's mission and vision. So they are aligned with the organization's mission and vision. It's not about the title. It's not about the title. It is not about the title. Not about the title. It is not about the title. People get so wrapped up in titles. It's not about the title. It's about the performance. It's about being aligned. We pour into their cup as an organization and they drink. And he pours into our cup as an employee and we drink. And we are aligned. Now, when the expectation is not being met, be it in a personal or professional relationship, it creates misalignment. So how do you recognize the signs when you're being played? In the workplace, if you're always explaining yourself or your worth, you may be misaligned. An example of that: do you find yourself always explaining in a work setting? You may have to explain why you made a decision that would have a direct impact on the organization's operations. But if you have a doctor's appointment and you need to leave for lunch a little earlier than usual, and a coworker or colleague asks you, "Why are you going to lunch early today?" A simple answer would be, "I have some personal business to tend to." You do not have to explain yourself to that person. And that should be the end of that conversation. But if you find yourself giving them more details than what or they need to know, then you need to check yourself. You need to find out why you feel that it's necessary to share those types of details of your personal life with someone who has no interest or investment in it. If your answer is of your personal life with someone who has no interest or investment in it. If your answer is too detailed, okay? For instance, let's say you're going to the doctor because you found a lump in your breast, okay, or whatever. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully that doesn't happen. Found a lump in their breast also. So not to take that lightly. But if you respond with that question, "Why are you going to lunch early?" and you respond with those details, you're oversharing information. This is how rumors get started, and this could turn to you. And not to mention how it would impact your job without you even knowing it, and it also impacts your peace, and I get a lot of employees complaining about, the workplace is toxic. But you have to stop and ask yourself, what am I doing to contribute? What am I doing to contribute to this? Okay? And oversharing information would definitely contribute to that toxic work environment, because you're sharing information and you expect it to stay within that area where you shared it, but never happens. In fact, I don't know one time when it has. Okay? So stop sharing information. If you find yourself over explaining, then you need to check yourself, because you need to know why you feel the need to do that. Okay? And then, another example, you've been staying late. Another example, you've been staying late every night. This is a big one for you folks out there who want to work hard, who works hard, and you never get compensated or recognized for your hard work. So let's say you've been staying late every night for a week. You picked up 2 extra projects. You've been staying late every night for a week. You picked up 2 extra projects that are not within your scope of work, but you excel in the role, and train 2 new interns. Okay, you train 2 new interns, which is also not a part of your job description, and you keep getting overlooked for promotions. Would count for something, right? This means that you're pleading your case to be valued, when the value should be obvious, not through your efforts, but actual contributions to fulfilling the organization's mission and vision, right? We talked about the mission and the vision. This is why you get you with XYZ, you provide us with ABC. Okay? When you put more into it, the expectation is that you would get more out of it. That's the expectation. Putting forth effort is good, but when your contributions have an impact that helps the organization move forward, that's considered value. Okay? That's value added. And if your value added is not being recognized, then you need to make some decisions regarding your employment with that organization. Unaligned. And when you become unaligned, what happens? You all out there know. You get bitter, you get angry, you go to the boss says this, and this, which doesn't align with what your expectation was, and you're upset and you're angry, but you do nothing to make the adjustment. You just stay and you become angry and you become bitter, and then you spread that throughout the work environment. Just remember, in order for you to be aligned, your goals, your values, your competencies need to match that of the organization. And when that is not happening, you sit at that table and you don't get what you expected, then it's time for change. Okay? All right. Now, friendships. This is a sticky one here. Made to feel that as a condition of the friendship, you need to share all the details of your life with this person, your choices and why you made these choices. This is not friendship. If you didn't ask for their help, then they only need to be a good listener and a supporter. Okay? I've been in friendship. Okay? I've been in friendships, of course I have. Had many friendships. And I considered myself to be a friend in all of my friendships, because I was asked for advice. And I gave honest and earnest advice. And when they chose to make their own choices, I honored those choices. But then what happens when it doesn't work out? Yeah, they come back with the same problem. Okay? And that's okay. But if you've given them the advice, and they didn't take it, don't try to force it upon them. Just tell them to consider the advice that you gave them. Okay? But you shouldn't be made to feel that you have to share details about your life and your choice. If you didn't ask for their help, then sharing only necessary personal information is required. But make sure that this is a person whom you can trust and is genuinely trying to help you figure out your problem. Otherwise, This will result in you making choices to please them and not necessarily making the choices that are best for you. Okay? Make your own choices. Relationships are about respect, acceptance, authenticity. Okay? Authenticity. Okay? So, in another example, if you find yourself always showing up for your friend, even when they don't respond for days, when you need them the most, or you rearrange your schedule to be there for them or at their events, but you only matter when they need something from you. Okay? They don't show up for you. You show up for them, they don't show up for you. You only matter to them when they need something from you. This means you're pouring your energy into them, but they don't give you the same energy back. It's the same example that I gave you with the cold, quenching ice water. Okay? You're pouring your energy into them, but they don't give you the same energy back. This loyalty is not a one-way street. I had to list your efforts. If you have to list your efforts and contributions in your friendship just to feel appreciated, something is way off. And you need to reevaluate your friendships. The same goes for personal or intimate relationships, because the same thing happens in those relationships. As well. And even mentorships. Let's talk about intimate relationships. That's a touchy one, right? Let's say in your intimate relationship, be it a spouse or a partner, do you find yourself always adding a reason behind every action? If you stop by the grocery store on the way home from work, explaining why you did that when you get home, or talking on the phone with a friend or a family member longer than usual, do you have to answer why you were on the phone? Let's say you buy a new outfit that's a little outside of your normal humdrum wardrobe. Having to explain your every decision or every move to anyone, for any reason is a huge red flag. There's here. And even worse, there's trust issues. How about when you stuck by them through everything? Health issues, job loss, the family drama, brokenness, their BS behavior like manipulation, ghost promises, false vulnerability. Even though for me, deal breaker, infidelity, deal breaker. But some people do stay. And through all of that, no judgment. Every individual situation is an individual situation, and it should be addressed as such. Okay? They make different choices. People have different value systems, and so on and so forth. Okay? But some people do stay. And through all of that, they push you away. And you still stay thinking to yourself, I've proven I'm not like everyone else they've been with. I'm not like anyone else they've been with. Why do I still feel like I have to fight for a place in their life? If you're asking yourself these questions, people, we've got to get it together. This reminds me of a scene told by my celebrity icon, Tina. This reminds me of a scene told by my celebrity icon, Tina Turner, in her real life story. And I talk about this a little bit about the legendary Tina in that episode of Overcoming Self-Doubt and Comparison. That episode, if you haven't listened to it, I advise you to go ahead and listen. It's really lit. But I'm telling you, if you haven't listened, that's going to pull out a lot of good stuff for you. Okay, so check it out. It's dropping gems, fam. It's dropping gems. This scenario, getting back. The translation for this scenario is emotional labor wrapped in desperation. Get it together. Emotional labor wrapped in desperation. You're trying to earn a seat at a table you helped build. How about trying to earn a seat at the table that you helped build? Remember, you've been through with this person, you've been through everything and you stayed. The brokenness, the BS, manipulation, ghost promises, false vulnerabilities, infidelity, gaslighting, all of that. You know, if you're still hanging in there, no judgment, but just understand, in order to heal, you need to know where you are in this situation. Emotional labor wrapped in desperation. You're trying to earn a seat at a table you helped build. Each of these examples reveals a person who's over-explaining their value in hopes of being chosen, respected, or treated fairly. And if a person needs to do this to be connected and or in a relationship with them, that equates to you feeding your insecurities. Did you hear that? If a person makes you feel that you need to do this, okay, over-explaining your value in hopes of being chosen, respected, or treated fairly, these are things that should come naturally in a relationship. It aligns with being respected, accepted, and being authentically you. And if a person makes you feel that you need to do this to be connected or in a relationship with them, that equates to you feeding your insecurities. You're over-explaining. Why? What's going on with you? When this becomes a pattern for you, you're no longer in a relationship, you're in a transaction. Okay? This for that. I talked about that earlier. I'm going to give you this, but in return, this is what I need from you. Okay? That is feeding insecurity. You're feeding your insecurities and you're feeding theirs. And that is their tricks. You are now trading treasure for tricks. And trading your treasure for tricks leaves you feeling depleted, spiritually drained, and emotionally confused. And every time you're in the presence of this person, it becomes a performance, not peace. You give up your peace for performance. They're thieves, stealing your peace and robbing you of valuable time and energy, all of which are valuable commodities in your treasure chest. These things, once stolen, will undoubtedly cause misalignment because you will struggle to stay focused on the things that matter to you and feed your real purpose, not some made up perspective of what someone else needs you to be in their life to feed. Someone else needs you to be in their life to feed their lack of self-confidence, to hide their brokenness and mask their shortcomings. Allowing this in your life devalues your treasures, people. Okay? Your treasure is too valuable to be traded for these tricks. So, now we've peeled back the layers and exposed the truth behind trading treasure for tricks. I'm going to pause right here, but don't worry. This conversation isn't over. I want you to join me for part 2, where we will go even and stop settling for spiritual counterfeits. Okay? So until next time, guard your treasure, protect your peace, and keep watering those seeds. I love you, and I mean that. Bye for now. Oh, and hey, don't just sit with this. DM me or drop a voice note. Let's talk about it.